Namaste, my dear brothers and sisters. The love and blessings of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo to all of you from Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Delhi branch. I have with me Shubhangi Ghosh, who is an M.Tech in biotechnology, but that's not what she's going to teach us today. Welcome, Shubhangi.
Thank you so much.
Like many young people, Shubhangi is doing a lot of work which doesn't seem to be directly related to all the education that she has received in college, although it does have indirectly a lot of bearing on it. But with her qualifications, she could have chosen a more conventional and more lucrative career. But that's not what she has done. And like many young people these days, she is looking at her career as not so much as something from which she can make a living, although that is important, but more as something meaningful to do, something which aligns with her passions. And this is a growing phenomenon. Uh, Seems that the evolutionary thrust, that is the evolutionary thrust which is pushing for a rapid rise in the level of consciousness of the human race, which Aurobindo and the mother have talked about so extensively. That's evolution seems to be at work, and that is why we have this growing number of young people in the world these days. The conventional thinking in the West for a long time has been that if we should choose a career which we are really good at, which we are interested in, which we are passionate about. But essentially, it was for the sake of a good, prestigious career, which also aligns well with the unique abilities and talents of that person so that the person enjoys the work. But the focus was on the person enjoying the work. And in India, for quite some time, the focus has been to choose the type of careers in which the best of jobs, that is, the jobs which give maximum money with minimum work and a lot of prestige, those are the types of jobs one should look for. And the parents emphasized it, and the children generally followed that advice, and were their first options while choosing a career was a career which gives a good income, gives a good status in the society, and also gives a sense of stability and security. These were the criteria. But we find that all over the world, there has been a change during the last few decades. Young people are looking more and more at careers which look beyond their own little self, their own happiness or their own income or prestige. That takes a secondary place. What they are looking for is something that is not only aligned with their passions, but also will give something to the world, something which will help them use their abilities for creating a better world. And this is a new phenomenon, and therefore, naturally, uh, everybody doesn't agree with this type of approach, including the well wishers of the person making this type of an unconventional choice. And it is from this point of view that we'll have a little conversation with Shubhangi to see what is it that motivates her to stick to a path which is unconventional, and what are the types of challenges she faces from outside as well as from within herself. I think I'll hand over to Shubhangi and share some of her experiences as well as the doubts and questions that she has because of the environment in which we live. Yes, Shubhangi.
Most of the time, when we go to school or when we grow up, we are often asked by elder people in our family or in our neighborhood that which class we study, what we do. When we grow up, selecting colleges or universities, our neighbors or family people generally ask that which college or university we are studying or which stream we have chosen. So most of the time we are so accustomed answering their questions that we often miss out answering ourselves or answering our questions. So what do you think about this thought that how often or when should we actually reconsider asking ourselves to live a life for our own being and our own mission purpose?
Yes, you raised a very important point. Uh, we grow up in such a way that we feel that our career choice should be based on the advice that we get from our parents, other well-wishers, and whatever our peer group is doing, that provides us some motivation or guidance. We feel that if everybody is doing this, then this might be the best thing to do. So let me also do that. We don't apply enough uh, of our mind. And in that process, you'll see that the career choice very often comes to be based on factors which are entirely outside the person who is making the choice.
Right.
The person himself or herself gets forgotten.
Yeah.
Whereas what is most important is the person who is going to do the work. And we are all made differently with unique talents and gifts. And apart from that, also with a different inclination towards doing something which may not bring the type of tangible benefits that the society is talking about, but more intangible benefits in terms of the joy that we get, the inner satisfaction that we get. These are things which get neglected, and therefore, uh, as you and growing number of young people is doing, it's important to sort of uh, keep all the advice that you get aside, although it is coming with the best of intentions, and try and see what is it that I really want to do. Yes, I want to look beyond my little self, but within that, that's only a broad thing. Within that, there can be so many different types of work that the person can do. So one should choose the type of work which makes me look beyond my little self, but utilizes in the best possible way the unique talents and gifts I have, and is aligned with the passions that I have.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Plus, also having this courage to follow our aspiration, our call that comes from within. Most of the time, there will be people who are doing engineering or practicing medical science, but they have this instinct towards art or towards something else completely different from what the mindset of people are having. But to have that courage to pursue that path, actually, that is what is the first step towards understanding that what we are truly aspiring for, right?
Sure. I mean, one can bring in this approach to any type of work that one is doing. One can continue to be a medical practitioner or an engineer, but all types of work can be uh, done in such a way that it contributes to our own spiritual growth and also helps somebody else, because the two go together. You know, all types of career, all types of work, if we just are a little careful, will provide us opportunities for giving what we have to those who need it. In case of doctors and teachers, of course, very easy to see. They have the knowledge or the skills which the students or the patients need.
Yeah.
But this is a complementary type of a situation which can be discovered in just about any type of work that we do. And to be able to see this and focus on what we are able to give uh, rather than what we are getting in concrete, measurable, tangible terms.
Absolutely.
If one keeps that aside, then what is it that we are able to give? If we focus on that, we will be both happy and also create a better world.
Absolutely. Plus, but we often have this feeling or this call of seeking validation from others. Whatever we do in terms of career, in terms of salary or the monetary gain a person acquires, we often have this seeking for validation from outside. So, when can we actually establish that peace within ourselves that when we are um, not seeking for validation from outside, but we are content from within?
Well, there are a few things I can say in response to that. One is that overcoming this need for validation cannot be a one step process, sorry, a one time event. It has to be a process.
Yeah.
Because the way we grow up starting with seeking the approval of our parents and teachers to start with, and that does contribute to our development. One can't deny that. So, therefore, uh, coming to a point where we have enough courage of conviction to be to not depend at all on this type of validation will not be a one-time event. It will be a process. Secondly, this type of validation can sometimes come in a camouflaged manner. For example, suppose one of your peers asks you, uh, how much are you making through the type of work that you are doing. You must be asked that. No?
Yeah.
And the indirect hint is that you are probably making much less than you would if you were in a more conventional job. And why have you settled for it? But at the same time, the fact that they're asking you this question has another layer to it, which is not stated. And that is, they are curious to know what type of joy you are getting, because they know that you also know how much money you have sacrificed to take up the type of career. That's not news for you. And therefore, there's another layer to this question that how much do you make? Don't you think it's much less than you deserve? Behind all these questions and comments, there is something hidden, and that is they are trying to find out what is the type of joy, or what is it that they cannot see easily, that you are getting, because of which you're giving up something. Right. So, when we give up something, it is not actually so much out of a sense of sacrifice. In fact, as the mother has said, if you feel it's a sacrifice, then you are not really doing the right thing. It should not feel like a sacrifice. We are giving up something because of something which is better than what we are giving up. What we are giving up may sometimes be more concrete, measurable, and therefore maybe more easily seen by everybody. But what we are getting is something intangible. You cannot measure joy in terms of 5 kilos of joy, the way you can measure the bank balance. Right. You cannot measure the growth of consciousness in terms of so many meters, or the way you can measure the height of a wall. You cannot measure the level of consciousness in that manner. So that is something which you can feel. It is within you. Others can't see it. Maybe beyond the point that they may feel that yes, you are not making much money, but all the same, you seem happy, all right. Sometimes they feel that you are happier than they are. Yeah. And they can't sometimes always fathom the secret behind your happiness. Yeah. So where does this glow on the face come from? Where does this joy come from? That is what they are curious about, and that's why they ask you, uh, how much money are you making? And then they find that you are not making as much as you should be or can. Uh, so then they get all the more curious. What is it that you are getting from the type of work that you are doing? Absolutely. Maybe you can share in sort of more concrete terms the type of work that you are doing, particularly with the children in a remote part of Chhattisgarh, and how and the joy that it brings you makes you forget everything else. Absolutely. So when we started working with the rural children, we could understand that there is such a huge gap, and plus they find joy in very small and little things, even when it rains or simply getting a small chocolate. They find it so joyful. Their face lit up with lots of smile and laughter. And you remember me sharing pictures of sharing happiness with you on text. So you just share that it was such a uh, heartfelt and I overwhelming feeling of joy just looking at those pictures. So just imagine me experiencing that in, sitting with them, working with them, learning with them. It's more of a learning rather than teaching them. So we have our different initiatives. One of them is sharing happiness. And sharing happiness has a broad category because we are not conducting a donation drive, or neither we are helping them to grow. Rather, we are sharing happiness by sharing the resources and sharing the abundance which comes from both of the sides. So they, in form of cards and bouquets, they bring up, and we, in form of footwear, in form of dental hygiene kit, or in form of certain books or knowledge, or in this way we share, and this is how we both are growing. So I believe that this is a concept that can be practiced anywhere and everywhere, not just in villages but in even households. Yes, I can see that. I mean, that when you're talking of those pictures which you shared, I can see the spiritual connect that you have with all those children. And with those children, sort of you can see the sense of oneness that they feel with you and you with them, which is based not so much on any concrete transaction, but more on a genuine sort of a love which is willing to give and give generously,
Yeah.
and through that uh, grow spiritually yourself and trigger the spiritual growth of those
Absolutely.
around you.
Even there's this beautiful quote by Sri Aurobindo that says that there's a different beauty in simplicity. And I believe that their hearts are so simple that we are truly able to connect with them once we are working, reading, or playing, even, which usually are very difficult to find. So whenever we meet different kind of people, when we meet simple people, they connect or click directly with our minds, with our hearts, and that's a different kind of bond and connection that we create, which usually we lack, and therefore we often think that we don't have many friends or we don't have a good relationship. That comes from simplicity. So a person when who is simple from heart can be always pure and joyful in every circumstance, I believe.
Sometimes one gets a feeling that doing some such thing for 50 or 100 children is something which is only for our own
Yeah.
satisfaction. It doesn't really change the world. Of course, changing the world is a big project, and as the mother has said, that who are we to do that?
Yeah.
Uh, that's for the that we can live with the great relief and pleasure to the divine.
Mm.
Let's be content to play our role in this world,
Absolutely.
and that is what we are doing. But
Mm.
all the same, uh, I can see that your work is not confined to those children who are just
Yeah.
around you. You have built up a network,
Mm-hmm.
and to this network have contributed many other people,
Mm-hmm.
which means that it's not just you, but there are many other young people now who are quite willing to do something meaningful,
Mm.
even if it pays them much less than they would be able to get in a conventional job. You have in your NGO M.Techs and PhDs and so
Mm.
on, so many highly qualified people.
Mm.
And that reminds me of uh, what one of our devotees, Dr. Mangesh Nadkarni, once said: the mother does not want only unskilled labor. So people who are highly qualified can use what they have received, because these high qualifications also are something that we have received. We
Yeah.
have received from somewhere. We may feel it's because of our hard work, but in fact, the capacity to work hard and the type of parents we got, the type of education we got, and the type of inspiration we got, all that has been given to us. And that's why we are doing what we are
Mm.
doing. And uh, then, irrespective of how well qualified we are, if we are able to see that all this has been given to us, and therefore we are willing to be uh, happy instruments of the mother and try and see what is it that she expects from us in view of what all she has given us. If we are
Mm.
able to do that, that is something which becomes the meaning or purpose for which we are here.
Currently, we are working with more than 40 plus different higher education institutions across globe. We have our own individual and institutional memberships and 90 plus members and 30 plus different sustainable organizations connected with us, and different consultancies, projects going on, sustainable audits going on. So we have plenty of work to do and plenty of work, people working with us just for this mission to uh, share their part towards this bigger change, because as mother says that world is preparing for a big change, will you help? So yes, we are ready to help. And yeah, even turning off the tap while brushing the teeth is a small change, but certainly it's a thing that a person is doing towards protecting the environment, towards protecting the nature. So everyone has their own share of work. So every work that is small or big cannot be considered small or big. Work is work, I believe. So there are plenty of questions that comes to my mind. So we can have a next session in context of this. But it was a really wonderful time learning from you, and it was a complete pleasure and so much gratitude for us, from us towards divine grace, for having this time with you to learn from you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Shubhangi. And I hope this will be of some use to young people struggling with career choice, and give them some useful clues, and particularly inspiration from a live example like you, who are doing what you think is the right thing to do, in spite of all the advice that you are getting from many well wishers, and uh, stick to the path. That's what I would say,
Yeah.
because ultimately you know what is best for you.
And have the courage. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.